Welcome back. Today we're getting back into another SCP video. This one's going to be the Church of the Broken God. Several of you guys have suggested this one to me. Let's find out what this broken god is, guys.
The Church of the Broken God. The SCP universe is filled with countless anomalous objects, creatures, and phenomena, and it's only logical that there would also exist religions based around these strange and inexplicable concepts.
Right, of course, there
While
would be.
most religions are focused on the idea of one or more deities and their role in the life and afterlife of humanity, the Church of the Broken God believes in a very different perspective. This video will provide a brief summary of the currently known information related to the Church, but due to the lack of canon within the SCP universe, much of this is subject to interpretation or change. To put it simply, the Church of the Broken God believes that their deity, an entity known as Meccan, has been disassembled, shattered, or otherwise broken. Their goal, and the focus of their centuries of effort, is to reassemble Meccan using a number of anomalous technological objects. To explain what happened to Meccan and why they wish to rebuild him, we have to look back to their beliefs on the origin of life. In the beginning, there were two gods: Meccan, the god of metal, machines, and intelligence, and Yaldabaoth, the goddess of flesh and animal instinct.
Meccan and Yaldabaoth, the god of metal and the god of flesh. Oh, all right. A little duality going on here. I like it already.
It is said that Yaldabaoth is responsible for creating mankind, giving them their form and their instincts, but Meccan is responsible for giving us our intellect.
Okay, so Yaldabaoth gave us our nice fleshy bodies and our primal instinct and our primal urges, while Meccan gave us intelligence and the ability to create, I guess. All right, seems like a good pairing.
In time, humanity progressed, creating continually greater technological marvels and becoming more and more civilized. This pleased Meccan, but greatly upset Yaldabaoth, as humanity was discarding their basic animal instincts. Yaldabaoth turned on humanity, wishing to turn them back into the wild animal she had first created, but Meccan stepped in to stop her. Knowing that a continual battle between two gods would have dire consequences, Meccan instead sacrificed himself, shattering his own body in order to use it as a great cage.
Okay, so Yaldabaoth wanted to reject modernity and return to monkey, while Meccan wanted us to achieve our technological glory. And in order to do that, Meccan broke himself into pieces and used his body to build a cage around Yaldabaoth to protect us. So, okay. All right. Seems like Meccan's a pretty cool bro so far, helping us out like that.
Meccan's body encased Yaldabaoth, silencing both deities. Pieces of Meccan's body scattered across Earth, and fragments of Yaldabaoth began to trickle out of the cage.
Oh, and I bet those pieces of Meccan are SCPs, aren't they?
The followers of Meccan began spreading their religion and set out to gather what pieces of Meccan that they could find. They had two primary goals. One was to reform Meccan, the broken god,
right? Obviously.
And two was to oppose the followers of Yaldabaoth, known as Sarkics.
Oh, okay. So the Sarkic Cults that we'll get into are followers of Yaldabaoth. Gotcha.
Sarkics deserve their own video to cover their history, which is even more muddled than the Church of the Broken God. But notably, they believe in the alteration of their human forms to achieve godhood, and they practice human sacrifice, ritual cannibalism, and the worshipping of disease.
Human sacrifice, cannibalism, the worship of disease. Okay.
The distinctions between the two cults are obvious. with the Mechanites believing they need to cast off their human nature with technology to achieve perfection,
Mm.
and Sarkics believing the opposite, that humanity and the Earth need to embrace their basic human nature, eschewing objective morality. It's believed that Sarkics wish to prepare the planet for the inevitable return of Yaldabaoth, and they primarily hope to achieve this using SCP 610, known as the
Okay.
Red Death, or the Flesh That Hates. SCP 610 is a highly contagious disease that rapidly transforms and takes over its host, forcing the host to spread the disease as much as possible. 610 will infect any living organism nearby, and also will continue to spread fleshy growths in order to create an area hospitable for continued infection. Left unchecked, 610 would easily spread across the planet, but the SCP Foundation, the Church of the Broken God, and other organizations have managed to keep it contained so far.
I wonder if the Church of the Broken God has any special methods for dealing with something like SCP-610. Maybe something that the Foundation doesn't have, since they are seemingly in direct opposition to the Sarkic cults that, presumably would worship something like this.
Before the Foundation, however, it was left to just the followers of Meccan to oppose the Sarkics, and this opposition most notably culminated in the War of the Flesh in the Late Bronze
The
Age,
War of the
and
Flesh.
centered around the regions of Greece. The Sarkics fought by transforming themselves into abominable monsters, and with tremendous flesh beasts, as well as spreading disease and infection across the land, primarily the Red Death. The Mechanites fought by augmenting their bodies with metal and technology, and crafted weapons capable of widespread destruction. They also made great walking titans, piloted by 6 individuals, and with weapons capable of launching fire, or even warping reality nearby.
Oh boy. The Church of the Broken God is sounding a little bit like the Mechanicus.
One of these colossi is currently contained by the Foundation in disrepair, designated SCP-2406, and shows signs of damage from some sort of anomalous organism. The war between the two groups raged on for some time, although most details have been lost, but both sides suffered massive losses throughout the war. Finally, the Mechanites managed to storm the final Sarkic stronghold in the Aegean, a massive organism that they used as a temple. Knowing their defeat was imminent, the priests residing there summoned the Red Death, and also performed a rite that would preserve the large organism so that it could be resurrected later. This organism is also contained by the Foundation, designated SCP-2095. With the Mechanites allied with the various Greek city-states, the war continued, but both sides soon became unable to sustain their efforts, and eventually both the Sarkics and Mechanites faded out of public view, and the world moved on. The continued history of the Sarkics past this point is largely meant for another video, but the followers of Meccan would eventually fade away, with the remnants forming into the organization we now know as the Church of the Broken God. The current Church of the Broken God is splintered into 3 main factions, which supposedly share a strong animosity for one another. The principal
I wonder why. I mean, they're all basically offshoots of the same faction, so they must have differences in ideology, which are pretty par for the course when it comes to religion. You'll have a primary idea and then offshoots of that idea that vary slightly, and when it comes to religion, everybody's got to be right. So of course they're gonna split off into their own sects and believe that they're the ones that are right. So
faction, known officially as the Broken Church, is led by an individual known as Robert Bumaro, and largely follow the same tenets of their forefathers. The Cogwork Orthodox Church adhere to a technological
the Cogwork Orthodox Church. Okay.
style in line with the Industrial Revolution, transforming their bodies using cogs, gears, and steam-powered machines.
I don't know why. I just got a picture of the gear people from Rick and Morty. How familiar are you with the Gear Wars?
They believe in remaking themselves in the image of Meccan, and utilize mechanical mass production as a form of prayer.
Oh, okay.
The Church of Maxwellism is on the other end of the spectrum, focused on modern computers, digital networks, and advanced cybernetics.
Oh, okay. So this is more, you could say more software. Obviously, there's going to be hardware involved at any stage of this Church of the Broken God. These guys seem like it's more high technology, like microprocessors, computers, stuff like that, as where the other guys seem like it would be much more mechanical, much more, cogs, gears, maybe even like steampunkish or something like that. So,
They believe that humanity must be completely connected via a massive digital network, forming something akin to a hive mind.
which begs the question: does this particular sect of the Church of the Broken God, do they have AIs? Do they maybe like they worship AIs? Maybe they see them as spirits or aspects of the Broken God himself. Maybe. Um, I'm kind of curious to see how they view AI and artificial intelligence.
So that the combined will of mankind can restore their deity. There are currently a number of anomalous objects contained by the SCP Foundation that are believed to be parts of the Broken God, and likely a number that are not yet known to the Foundation. SCP-1139, known as the Broken Tongue or the Broken Voice, is a metallic block that causes people in a radius around it to forget their known languages and instead comprehend a new shared language.
Interesting.
SCP-813, known as the Broken Eye, is a glass sphere that causes small slivers of glass to enter people's eyes. And it's believed that the sphere uses these shards to see through people's eyes in order to find the other missing sphere.
I'll do without glass in my eye, thank you.
SCP-217, said to be the Broken God's blood, or ichor, is a virus that can affect all animal life, including humans, and converts their bodies into a form of organic metal.
Ooh, that one's interesting. A mechanical virus that affects biology and turns it into a form of like organic metal. That's baller. That's pretty dope.
This converted material resembles metal, leather, rubber, glass, wood, etc., but is still organic material.
Oh, it's still organic.
Carrying the subject's DNA. It is said that Robert Bumaro, head of the Broken Church, willingly infected himself with the virus and has been fully converted. Other SCPs are related to the Church of the Broken God, whether supposed parts of Meccan or otherwise, but one of the most notable is SCP-882. 882 is a massive assembly of random machine parts, such as gears, pulleys, screws, and so on, are ordinarily in continual motion through unknown means, and also seem to telepathically urge nearby individuals to bring metal to it so that it can grow larger. 882 is said to be the heart of the Broken God, but one of the proposals for SCP-001 describe an event that shine a new light onto this concept. The event described occurred in Mexico in 1942, in which a number of members of the Church of the Broken God managed to bring together multiple anomalous objects, causing them to form into a massive mechanical entity. This entity ravaged across the country, consuming everything in sight in order to grow larger, and seemed to be actively seeking out other anomalous objects. Another SCP, numbered 2399, appeared to destroy the mechanical entity, carving out the Gulf of California in the process. The Foundation cleaned up the mess, leaving the inactive core at the bottom of the ocean. The supposed heart of the Broken God, SCP-882, was taken into containment, but later interviews revealed that this heart was in fact manufactured by another organization, the Factory, and was not a part of Meccan.
The Factory? I recall somebody mentioning the factory, but wasn't that in relation to Wondertainment, right? He's got a specific kind of factory somewhere. I don't know. It could be an entirely different thing.
It seems that certain higher ranking individuals in the church, primarily Robert Brumaro, who was not yet the leader, could not locate the heart of Meccan, and instead had one made so that they could forcefully rebuild their god. This corrupted heart, 882, caused the entity to go mad, and the whereabouts of Meccan's actual heart are unknown, at least according to these documents. Finally, there is SCP 2217, which is a beach on an island in Greece, meant to function as a form of workshop for the broken god that will assist his followers in fighting the Sarkics and SCP 610, the Red Death.
Okay.
This is revered as a holy site by the Church of the Broken God, known as the Anvil, and it's likely the place where Meccan would finally be properly reassembled to fight the Second War of the Flesh. It's believed that a massive apocalyptic outbreak of SCP 610 will occur on December 31st, 2019, and the Foundation are currently working with the Church, as well as the Horizon Initiative and the Global Occult Coalition in order to prevent or prepare for this event. That's largely the current story as we know it, although there are documents that contradict certain elements of this video. And as the SCP universe has no canon, you're free to think what you want about the Church. If you do follow this canon, however, then you can see how the Church of the Broken God, originally presented as a mysterious enemy of the Foundation that wished to recreate a powerful entity for unknown purposes, is now working with the Foundation. Well,
Makes sense given the fact that they're in opposition to the Sarkic Cults, and if SCP-610, the flesh that hates, is something that's weaponized by the Sarkic Cults, and apparently they want to just release it all over the world, which would kill everybody. If there were a side you could call good and a side you could call bad, I would say that the Sarkic cults are the bad guys because they're wanting to bring about the destruction of the world via Yaldabaoth and the Red Death, while the followers of Mecane are trying to save the world because they would like to see technology continue to advance and have the teachings of Mecane continue to help humanity flourish, it seems like. So, yeah, out of the two factions here, I'll say the Church of the Broken God is probably, you could consider them the good guys out of the two.
Well, it's completely up in the air exactly what will occur in the future in regards to this supposed war for the sake of the Earth. The mythology and conflicts between the Sarkics and the Church of the Broken God have certainly been one of the most interesting facets of the SCP universe.
I'm definitely interested in these guys. These guys have some hardcore Mechanicus vibes, where they're all about science, technology, building fantastic machines. It seems like they augment themselves and add, mechanical or cybernetic parts to their own bodies. They're very, the flesh is weak and steel is strong, kind of a vibe to them. I'd like to hear a little bit more about the Church of the Broken God. I'm sure there's other stuff. Like they said, there's plenty of SCPs out there related to the Church of the Broken God. So I'm sure we'll get to those eventually. But overall, very interesting. Nice duality between the flesh and the machine god. How they originally worked together to create humanity as a joint project between the two, if you will. And it seems like Yaldabaoth got jealous. He got jealous that humanity was like, hey, we can build cool stuff. Let's see where this takes us. Rather than just, I don't know what Yaldabaoth wanted. Did he just want humans to just, be animals forever and just run around beating each other with nothing more advanced than a couple of rocks and sticks? Or I don't know. The other thing I'm interested in finding out about is, do the members of the Church of the Broken God, how do they view artificial intelligence? There's a whole sect of the Church of the Broken God, apparently, which deals with higher technology versions of machines. So while it seems like there's a couple of them that like gears, cogs, probably like, hydraulic pistons and maybe even like steampunk type deal. While there's another sect that seems to like, they probably build computers and circuit boards, and they're about programming like advanced robotics and stuff like that. So, and I guess they butt heads, but you would think that they would still work together, because you've got to go through that technological evolution, right? You've got to start small with small hand tools, using mechanical advantage to help people achieve goals. And then that evolves into basic rudimentary machines, which evolves into more advanced machines and more advanced ways of powering these machines. I'm sure it started out with like steam, and then went on to maybe fossil fuels, and then continue down that line of evolution until you get really advanced robotics, essentially. So, but anyways, guys, I enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please leave a subscribe, leave a comment down below. Let us know what other videos we should be checking out, what other SCPs we could be checking out, and we will get to them. As always, guys, thanks for stopping by. Thanks for watching the video. Take care of yourselves, and have a great day.
From the moment I understood the weakness of my flesh, it disgusted me. I craved the strength and certainty of steel. I aspired to the purity of the blessed machine. Your kind cling to your flesh, as if it will not decay and fail you. One day the crude biomass that you call a temple will wither, and you will beg my kind to save you. But I am already saved. For the machine is immortal.